The second half of the book of Daniel contains a series of apocalyptic visions. In chapter 7, Daniel dreams of 4 beasts. This vision was apparently given to Daniel during the first year of the reign of King Belshazzar of the Babylonians, but Daniel kept it to himself at the time. He saw a lion, which represented Babylon, and a bear, which represented the Medes and the Persians. The bear was raised on one side, which represented the dominance of Persia, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth, which perhaps represented the 3 conquered kingdoms of Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia. Then he saw a leopard, which represented Greece. The leopard had 4 heads, which represented 4 generals who replaced Alexander the Great. It also had 4 wings, which represented the 4 divisions of the Greek Empire after the death of Alexander the Great. Daniel then saw a beast with 10 horns, representing the succession of leaders after Alexander. This included a boastful little horn, representing Antiochus for Epiphanes. At the end of all of this, the Ancient of Days took his place, and God's kingdom was given to his faithful people. In chapter 8, Daniel sees a vision of a ram and a goat. Daniel apparently received this vision in the 3rd year of the reign of Belshazzar of Babylon, but he kept it to himself at the time. The angel Gabriel assisted Daniel in interpreting the vision. Daniel saw a powerful ram with 2 horns, representing the empires of the Medes and the Persians. Then he saw a goat with 1 large horn, representing the kingdom of Greece, led by Alexander the Great. The goat attacked the ram and broke its horns, which represented Alexander attacking Media and Persia and conquering them. The 4 smaller horns replaced the large horn of the goat, representing the 4 generals who replaced Alexander the Great. A smaller horn that appeared later represented another leader with apparently supernatural abilities and a particular hate for God's people, possibly Antiochus for Epiphanes. The angel Gabriel also said that this vision concerned the time of the end, but he kind of leaves it at that, leaving us to wonder, the end of what? Chapter 9 is made up of the prayer of Daniel. This chapter is set during the 1st year of the reign of Darius. Here the text says that Darius was the son of Ahasuerus, or Xerxes I, the king in the Esther story. In this chapter, Daniel recalls that Jeremiah had prophesied that the desolation of Jerusalem would last for 70 years. Daniel prays to God and confesses the sins of the people of Judah. He admits that they had broken covenant with God, and so the curses of the covenant had come upon them. Daniel prayed that God would rescue his people from captivity and bring them to the promised land, just as he had done through Moses. The angel Gabriel then shows up and confirms that Jeremiah was right when he said that Judah's punishment would last 70 years, but then he multiplies that number by 7 in order to say that though the exile has ended after 70 years, the current era of trial and testing will continue for 490 years. He refers to this period as 70 sevens, or 70 periods of Sabbath years, 490 in total. When this era ended, several things would happen. Time to finish transgression and put it into sin, time to atone for wickedness, time to bring in wisdom and righteousness, time to seal up vision and prophecy, and time to anoint the most holy place. He then goes on to divide this era into periods of 7 sevens and 62 sevens, or 49 years, and 434 years before the end would come in the final 7 years. At the beginning of this era of 490 years, an order would be given to rebuild Jerusalem and its temple. This took place when the Persians took control of the world under Cyrus. After the first 49 years, the Anointed One would take his place in Jerusalem. This is probably referring to the anointing of the high priest Joshua and/or governor Zerubbabel during the time of the prophets Haggai and Zechariah. 434 years later, a ruler would arise who would put the Anointed One to death. This happened when Antiochus came to power and murdered the high priest Onias. This ruler would conquer Jerusalem and desecrate the temple. He would make a covenant with the people for 7 years, but halfway through it he would put an end to the Jewish sacrifices and set up the abomination of desolation. At the very end of the 490-year era of trial and testing, Gabriel says that the most holy place in the temple will be anointed once again. This took place after the Maccabees retook Jerusalem from Antiochus and rededicated the temple to Yahweh. In chapter 10, Daniel sees a vision of a man. Daniel had this vision during the 3rd year of the reign of King Cyrus of Persia. Daniel saw a shiny man standing on the bank of the Tigris River. The people with Daniel didn't see anything, but were suddenly filled with fear and ran away. Daniel fainted, but the man helped him up and gave him strength. He said that he had come in response to Daniel's prayer, but that he had been detained for 21 days by the prince of Persia, until Michael, one of the chief princes, showed up to help him. The shiny man said that he was there to tell Daniel what would happen to his people in the future, saying that he would soon go off to fight against the prince of Persia, then after him the prince of Greece would come. He also indicated that Michael was his only ally in the struggle, and that they had been allies since the 1st year of Darius the Mede. The shiny man continued talking, saying that Persia and Greece would eventually go to war with each other and Persia would lose. After the time of this great ruler of Greece, Alexander the Great, Greece would be divided up into 4 different kingdoms. Over many years, 2 of these kingdoms would continue continually go to war against each other. The kings of the north represented the Seleucid Greek rulers over Syrian lands, and the kings of the south represented Ptolemaic Greek rulers over Egyptian lands. The last king of the north was Antiochus IV Epiphanes. He set up the abomination of desolation in the temple of the Lord. This period of time would see a lot of trouble and persecution, especially during the last 3.5 years of the reign of Antiochus IV Epiphanes. The apocryphal books of 1st and 2nd Maccabees deal with the history of Judah during this time. The popular Jewish festival of Hanukkah also originated because of the events that took place during this time. We learn from John's Gospel that Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. The end of the book says that at that time Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress such as not happened from the beginning of nations until then, but at that time your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. Go your way, Daniel, because the words are rolled up and sealed until the time of the end. Many will be purified, made spotless and refined, but the wicked will continue to be wicked. None of the wicked will understand, but those who are wise will understand. As for you, go your way till the end. You will rest, and then at the end of the days, you will arise to receive your allotted inheritance.